Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The long range meta here in Warzone 2 has changed a little bit since we saw our latest update with Season 1 Reloaded. Obviously, we saw a handful of weapon buffs and nerfs in that patch, and so today I wanted to go over the select handful of weapons for long range that just absolutely dominate. And first up here, we are starting with one of my favorite guns in the game right now, the Sakin MG38 LMG. It's so strange how in, previous iterations of Warzone and previous eras of Warzone with Vanguard, Cold War, MW, LMGs have always kind of been a decent choice, but it's always been rifles for long ranges, like the top of the top. This year, though, not necessarily the case. We have some really good rifles that we'll cover in this video, obviously, but the LMGs are just so dominant, and the Sakin is one that has low recoil, really good TTK, really good damage all around. This thing is very, very solid. So as far as the setup goes here, first up, I go for the Bruin G305 grip. This is just going to help out with control. Really, all you got to factor in with this thing is helping out your range and your control, because that's going to allow it to be the best possible long range option, right? So here for the tuning on the grip, I go for slightly better stability, then also slightly better steadiness. I, of course, am also running the AIM-OP V4 optic. You could also go for a Schlager 3.4 times, a Chrono Mini Red Dot. It just comes down to preference there, what you're able to, one, see enemies with over long range, and two, consistently control with over long range. Here we're just tuning for basically the furthest eye position, slightly faster ADS. That really doesn't matter too much on there, just because it's not going to have a huge factor in your overall stats. I also got the F-Tac Ripper underbarrel on there to help out with that stabilization and just make this thing a whole lot easier to shoot. And I tuned this for basically max stabilization, then also slightly better aiming stability as well. So this thing's not really moving whatsoever when you are firing. I also got the Kastovia muzzle on here. This is a suppressor that helps out obviously with keeping you off the compass, but also velocity and actual recoil control. So again, making this thing even easier to shoot. We go ahead and tune for basically max velocity and then slightly better recoil smoothness. You could also go for better ADS. Again, this slider here is not going to have a huge impact on your overall stats with this, just because it's an LMG, it's going to be slow and recoil smoothness isn't changing too much. Lastly, I got the Silver Series barrel on here, just better for velocity, range, and control. And I tuned this for basically max damage range and then also slightly better steadiness as well. So this thing's shooting straight. It is hitting hard. As we go into the firing range here, you'll see that over range, I mean, we'll go for that furthest dummy there. Thing fries. If you land your shots in like mount, that's no recoil control, by the way. That's how it shoots when I'm not controlling it at all. I actually control it. Thing doesn't move. Like, this thing is an absolute beast. Another phenomenal option for long range is the Signal. Now, of course, in general, snipers here in Warzone 2, a little, lackluster because they can't one-shot headshots. So in turn, that makes the Signal even more valuable because it's not a bolt action sniper like the rest of them. And in turn, it can actually get kills a lot easier and quicker because you can sort of spam it and land those shots consistently a lot faster. So I've been using this a ton recently and I love it. It actually makes sniping a lot of fun using this setup here. So first up, I am going for the 6.6 times optic. It has the 6 times zoom, but also has an 11 times zoom. So it is a variable scope and I really like that, because it's just a clean optic and you can get really good range on that. I tune it for slightly faster ADS and then the furthest eye position on here yet again. You gotta go for the 7-round mag in my opinion, just because when you are spamming this thing, 5 shots runs out very quickly. 7 is a nice added safety net. I go for the high velocity ammo to help out with that velocity over long range, helps out with that bullet drop. And I tune this for basically max velocity and then slightly better damage range on there as well. That'll help out a little bit more with it feeling more consistent. And again, you can land shots easier after you learn that bullet drop. Gotta go for the Ole laser on here to help out with that ADS speed. It is a heavy sniper, and even with this, it's still going to be relatively slow, but this helps out with it a little bit. And then lastly, I go for the Bruin Ops muzzle. Again, just your basic suppressor here, so it keeps you off the compass, but also helps out again with the velocity, and then also the range, which is definitely a W. And I tune this for even slightly better velocity, and then a bit faster of an ADS speed there. The firing range probably won't show us too much here, because I mean, the dummies aren't really super accurate to Warzone health, but you can see, obviously, that's the 6 times zoom, and then you can zoom in even further if you wanted to for long range, and then miss your shots like me because I'm a bot. Now, a no-brainer when it comes to the long range meta is, of course, the RPK. Arguably, this is the #1 gun in the entire game. I'm so surprised that this was not nerfed with the Season 1 Reloaded update, but because it wasn't, still absolutely fallen in that long range meta here. This setup, very easy to use in terms of overall recoil control, also has great range, great TTK as well, so you're getting a lot out of the RPK here, another top tier LMG. So setup really hasn't changed changed all that much as of lately. Still running the Schlager 3.4 times for that range. Furthest eye position, slightly faster ADS on here. Demo X2 grip for that better control, and then we go ahead and we tune that for even better stability, then slightly better recoil steadiness. I go for the high velocity rounds again to help out with sort of that hit reg feeling with that better velocity, and we tune that for basically max range, max velocity here as well. The new thing that I've actually started to change on my RPK, I was using the lock grip precision under barrel, which, you know, it works fine. It's going to help out with recoil steadiness and help out with your overall recoil pattern. But I've actually gone over to the phase 3 grip a little bit in testing, tune this for slightly better stabilization and then also slightly better idle stability. And this, as we'll go into the, you know, firing range in just a second, also shoots really straight. So I like both of those under barrels. You can see which one feels the best for you. Previously, I was also using the Polar Fire S. I've now also switched over to the Kastovia on here. And we, of course, tune this one for a slightly faster ADS to the point where it's about making a decent impact. And then we go for better velocity as well. We can go all the way up on that because it doesn't really change too much there. Excuse me. Go to the firing range. You can see pretty low recoil, in all honesty. I am controlling this. There's a bit of bounce here, but that's most guns in this game over long range. And it's TTK when you do land those shots is real nice. I love this thing. Been my go-to long range choice pretty much since day one. By the way, as we are breaking everything down today, just a reminder, if you're new to the channel or if you have not subscribed yet, every single day I got you covered with news, updates, class setups, tips, everything that you need to know about Warzone 2, MW2, and DMZ is right here. It's your one-stop shop. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications to stay up to date with all that stuff. Also, if you guys enjoy this video or if you find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it as well. Another favorite of mine is the TAC 56, the scar of this game. This rifle in particular feels so good, and obviously, you know, in comparison to some of these other options that we've already covered, the Sakin, the RPK, it's going to be a little bit more aggressive because it's not as heavy as those. It's a bit more lightweight. It's still a bit heavier for a rifle, but in comparison to some of the other long range metas, this one is definitely a little bit more versatile, which is always nice to see, right? So this one for close range, medium range, long range, you could honestly get away with using it anywhere there, but for long range, especially in terms of rifles, this is a top tier choice. Again, here I got the AMOP V4 optic. We go ahead and we tune this for that furthest eye position, and again, slightly faster ADS. Keep in mind as you're going through, and if you're trying to tune like mine, you're not probably going to land on the exact value because these tune sliders are so touchy, but you just want to be in that relative ballpark, right? We also go for the 40 round mag, just your basic extended mag here, nice little safety net. We got the Ripper under barrel yet again for that better stabilization, tuned for even better idle stability and even better recoil stabilization as well. We got the Echoless 80 muzzle here. Unfortunately, there is no Kastovia option. If there was, that'd be the go-to. I think there's one muzzle here that's actually glitched. Yeah, it's the Silent Fire, which would be great. Better control here. That's basically the equivalent of the Kastovia, but it's locked for whatever reason, which kind of sucks. But here on the Echoless, we tune for max velocity and then a little bit better ADS. And lastly, we got the Tundra Pro barrel for the better range and velocity. I tune this for max range and then basically max steadiness as well to make it a bit easier to shoot. And as we drop into the firing range with this one, I mean, that's about as easy as it gets in terms of control. Way less bouncy than some of the other options, and still a phenomenal TTK as well. I love this thing. Another top tier LMG that is phenomenal for long range, arguably the strongest long range gun in the game, the RAAL. This thing is very heavy. It is very slow. Its recoil is a little bit bouncy, sort of similar to the RPK or our final option here that we'll get to in a minute, but its power is unmatched. This thing's TTK over range is unreal. I mean, it's just going to absolutely melt through players when you are consistently landing your shots. So learn that recoil pattern, get the overall feel of this weapon down, and you are going to reap the rewards because this thing is a beast. So first up here, I got the Stip 40 grip for that better control. We go ahead, we tune this for better idle stability and slightly better steadiness. AMOP V4 on here yet again, rinse and repeat if you want to go for a Schlager, if you want to go for a red dot, do whatever you're the most comfortable with. Tune it for slightly faster ADS and then that furthest eye position yet again. I got the Dune under barrel on here for that better steadiness, which is all general recoil control basically. Tuned for slightly better stability and a little bit better stabilization. The Nil Sound 90 suppressor here, better range, better velocity, very minimal cons here, which is why I choose it over, you know, the Agent, why I choose it over the Talon 16. Again, wish there was a Kastovia option for even better control, but this is what we got to work with. We tuned this one for slightly better velocity and a slightly faster ADS. Then lastly, we got the Demo Field Pro barrel. This is for better range and better velocity, again, to make it feel even better over long range. We tune for better range, we tune for better recoil steadiness on this thing. Like I said, this thing is slow. I'm running around here. It's not something you're gonna be running around with as like your primary. You have a pistol, you have a secondary sub for that, but then, you know, you get into ADS and, I mean, this thing is just absurd. And honestly, even with the aim-out V4 on here, the recoil, it's a bit bouncy, but it's super controllable, right? And you have so much ammo here, you can just spray and pray. And when you are landing those shots, those enemies won't know what to do. Then lastly, here we got the Kastov 762, another rifle, although this one is one of the slower options we have for that category. It's a heavy rifle, but that's because it hits hard. This thing is also bringing the power very similar to the RPK in terms of feel. Kind of all around. It's a little bit more aggressive because it doesn't have that 75 round mag on there, but it's definitely, you know, most comparable to that, I would say. So if you're looking for one, try out both of them and see which one you feel the most confident with. This setup, though, very similar to the RPKs. We got the Schlager 3.4 on here, yet again tuned for that furthest eye position and that faster ADS. We got the Demo X2 on here, yet again as well, for that better control. We tuned for better steadiness, slightly better idle stability as well. 40 round mag, 30 is just not enough, obviously, for, you know, duos, trios, quads. When you get into those multi-person engagements, you want to make sure you have enough ammo there. 40 works well for this fire rate. Also got the phase 3 underbarrel here as well for that better stabilization, tuned for that better stability and better idle stability. And lastly, yet again, we got that Kastovia suppressor on there for better velocity, better ADS on that tuning. You might notice we're not using a barrel here, and that's because all these are basically hurting you in a way outside of the 584 that I'm not a huge fan of, so you don't really need it in this case. Yes, you're getting slightly better control and range on this thing, but as you see, if we go into the firing range here, I don't feel like it's super necessary. Mid-range, I mean, the thing is easy to use. Long range, thing's easy to use. Get that recoil pattern down. It's pretty straightforward, and honestly, with the rear grip on there, with that control, with the phase 3 control, I think it's pretty easy. So yeah, that being said, that is the current long range meta here in Warzone 2. That's gonna wrap things up for today. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you guys are new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. That way you can always guarantee you're up to date with everything going on in the world of Call of Duty. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.